So I just finished some yoga, and this time I just went on YouTube, typed in hip and back opener, because as I'm starting to sit more in meditation, I want to make sure I take care of that. A yoga with Adriene came up, it was super gentle, really awesome, and I feel good. It's about 20 minutes long, and sometimes I do my own. But definitely try to hit at least a yoga session per week to open myself up, keep limber, especially as I sit more. All right, so I'm making dinner right now. Kind of changed it up last minute, but I'm making a burrito wrap mixture. I guess I don't really know the difference, honestly. But tortilla, put some hummus on the tortilla, kind of spread that over. Then half an avocado and some chopped onion. I use a lot. I love onion. Some micro cilantro greens, some mustard, some fake cheese, and I have 3 vegan breakfast sausages or sausage patties that are heating up. Probably hear those. And it just wasn't gonna be enough. I'm hungry. So then I threw a full can of beans that's heating up right now too. So it's probably gonna be too big now, which I'm totally known for doing. So I've got a full can of beans and 3 breakfast sausages on their way into my burrito. It's gonna be good. But one of the things is, you can tell I'm pretty slim. I think one of the things that a lot of people get worried about if they're dieting or whatever is trying to count calories and stuff. If it's healthy, I'm a fan of just eat until you're full. And most of what I'm eating is healthy. The breakfast sausages probably aren't. They're probably not terrible either. But the rest of this, debatable with the tortilla. It's good. It's good food. All right. If we've learned anything, Zen is about to come in, and here he is right here. So this is a little bit of a late reflection. It's now Sunday, but I want to reflect on Saturday and then Friday night. Friday was definitely the hardest day so far. There was a moment around when I was eating dinner that I had an experience of a sensation of like a tightening in my chest, and just panic and terror. And it was really the moment of, I think, as the nights have gone on, there's been more and more of a realization that, like, oh, I'm in it. This is it. And in a way, there's no way out, right? Like, I am now in a space that I don't want to escape, but can escape, as well as, taking my coping mechanisms away. And so there was a panic that happened, and it hit really hard, even though it didn't hit all of the way. Like, I got a taste of how powerful it was. And it was very reminiscent of different plant medicine journeys I've had, whether it was mushrooms or ayahuasca or bufo, where, like, they hit so hard. When they hit, it's just, all right, I'm in this journey until this ends. And it's hitting so many different multisensorial parts of the experience that it can be overwhelming. Definitely a world change for a few hours. And it hit that hard. And that was a little also scary, because it kind of felt like the plant medicine was coming into the everyday life, and there was a bit of like a barrier that, oh, now I can experience that same level of intensity, or I am experiencing that same level of intensity outside of a ceremonial plant medicine space. And that was a little terrifying, because it's like, oh, now, like, this could happen at any moment. And to that point, it was very triggering with some childhood stuff. And maybe I go into that. Well, here goes some weird shit. When I was a kid, especially when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, I had experiences with what I would call entities, with energetic beings that I could sense, but I couldn't see. I could feel to an extent. And often I would go into something called sleep paralysis or scissor lock, where I'd be half awake, half asleep, but I couldn't really move, but I'd be very aware of these entities. And in my experience, they were often not pleasant, to put it mildly. And that actually had some lasting trauma inside of me, that had some lasting negative effect. And I've done a lot of work around it over the years, especially around was this actual abuse that my brain just put into some sort of spiritual abuse type of thing? And I've been through a lot of that, and kind of came down to no, there was an experience or a series of experiences that I had that just seemed to fit this, even though it's a little, hard for some people to wrap their head around. And a part of that was the sense that I have some sort of parasite, that I have some sort of entity in my field. And I have, in one way or another, since then. And the panic that happened on Friday was very triggering to that experience of kind of no way out, but also of something unseen. And so when I went to bed, I was in very much a space of being with that trigger, and there being this almost anger at God of what can happen, right? The darkness in the world, why does it exist? That type of anger and rage. And there was this, why do these types of things happen? And I notice in this moment, I'm withholding. Yeah, I have a sense of being aware of who's watching this and their opinions. I'm not being 100% real right now, and I'm aware of that. So I'm just going to say fuck it and be 100% real. Yeah, in some ways, I think what I'm trying to say is that I felt spiritually abused for a long time by something I couldn't see, which made me doubt it. Because it's very easy to be dude, that's crazy. And very easy to say, that's just in your mind. Or that's a coping mechanism of something actually, physically that happened. Or there's a lot of ways to turn away from that as a potential. And so that really, I just was faced with this. And some way or another, even though I've done work with this, there's a deep level of me that hasn't accepted it. And so when I went to sleep, there was this kind of part of me, kind of felt like a part of me or a spirit guide that came through and was just yeah, so there's this entity that's draining your life force. What are you going to do about it? And this young child part of me was like, I don't want to have to do anything about this. You do something about this. God needs to do something about this. And like, it was kind of one of those, like, I want mommy moments. I want a parent. I want someone who's capable to be able to do this. And the response from this being was just like, too bad. What are you going to do about it? Whether this is true or not, what are you going to do about it? This is what you sense. What are you going to do about it? And it was just this putting it back in my hands. The only way something happens here is if you do something about this. And so then I just like visualized myself just killing this entity, creature, parasite in as many ways as I could with swords. I even got like lightsabers, and I just opened up this energy vortex and was trying to send it through, and it was very Plant Medicine Journey-esque. And I did that for maybe 2 hours in the middle of the night. And it was intense, but it was also empowering because something did shift energetically, but also the main thing that shifted was a sense of self-empowerment, self-trust. I can do something about this, even if I don't know how. And as I was doing the visualization and really like sending that vortex of energy, I was affirming something from Yogananda, that he has an affirmation booklet. And one of the affirmations is, I am submerged in eternal light. It permeates every particle of my being. I'm living in that light. Great Spirit fills me within and without. And I was just affirming that for like the whole time. And I woke up Saturday in a very different space. I felt much more grounded. The no way out of the container didn't feel daunting anymore. It actually felt like good, like, oh, okay. Like this container can hold me, not can I hold this container. But there was also a moment, which is interesting. I forgot to say this before that, when I was really with the panic and everything, that it hit me in a way that was terrifying, to an extent of like I felt the full fight, flight, freeze response of just like my whole system shutting down. And I've always had access to either spiritual teachers or therapists or peers or, people who can support people in dark places. But I've never had to use it, because I've either always been able to get myself through it, or I was with my previous partner who was also in this world, or, close friends or whatever. I've just never had to use it. And yesterday was the first time where I had to be like, who am I going to call if I'm in a place that I'm really not doing well? And so I had to categorize okay, who's my first call? Who's my second call? And really get real about who do I trust enough in a broken space, and in a place where I'm incredibly fragile, to be able to help me. And it was interesting to see there were some people I thought would be up near the top of the list that weren't, and there were people that I thought would be maybe a little bit lower on the list that actually were near the top of the list. And so that was an interesting experience of really getting real with, okay, I have outlets, but which ones do I feel safe enough with to show up broken to? And that feels good to just have ordered. Yeah, and the rest of yesterday was pretty great in a lot of ways. Went on a long walk, made some good food, took another nap, did some more processing, or there was a little bit more battling, but much more just working with spiritual energies. a friend of mine's dad passed away, and he lives down the street. And so I kind of broke the container and went on a walk with him. I did an ice or a hot tub / ice or cold shower back and forth for 3 rounds, and that felt great. And then I finished off with a 90-minute Dispenza meditation. So it was a really awesome rest of the day. And I decided along the way that I'm taking today, which is Sunday, off. And I've decided that I'm going to take all 4 Sundays off this month to just okay, week 1's already been pretty intense. I want a slow entry. I'm in this for what I hope to be several years. I can slowly walk into this a little bit slower than I thought. Yeah, I'm curious how this is going to land for people. Because this has so far been a lot more medicine journey, and for people in the medicine world, plant medicines and, psychedelic world, this probably all makes sense. But people not in that world, even if they're in the spiritual world, it might sound a little strange. And then people not in the spiritual world at all, it probably sounds crazy. So I'm going to do my best to just be authentic and real about what I'm experiencing. I'm curious how that's going to land. A little worried. I feel a little conflict inside about that. In a lot of ways, this container has been much more of a battle than it has peaceful or connecting. Before entering, and this isn't new, a lot of the containers that I enter into like this, whether it's 10-day Vipassana or my time with the monks or plant medicine retreats, or when I go into an intense container, it's actually always intense. It's rarely peaceful, at least to start. Because in a lot of ways, that peace and connection that I had during my regular life, right, there's a lot of time off in between. Whereas when I enter these containers, it's kind of like, all right, here's all the stuff in the way of that natural connection to God that you're seeking. Here's all your mental crap, your emotional crap, your stuck energies and stuff in your body and sensory work. Here's all your programming. It's just like all the shit rises up. And it also doesn't just rise up, it rises up like a stirred hornet's nest. And it's just like, wah. And that's definitely how this has started. It started in just on my walks, being connected has been rare and effortful. And now, this medicine-y energy coming through Friday night and last night. But I trust it, and I actually feel very stable in it all. All right. There we go. That's that.